Thanks for joining us on the CBN News Channel. I'm Charlene Israel.
And I'm Ephraim Graham. The White House and U.S. State Department are again calling on Iran to release an American pastor jailed for his faith. Saeed Abedini is serving an 8-year prison sentence for sharing the gospel inside Iran. Tuesday, Abedini's wife appeared before the United Nations to plead for her husband's release. George Thomas has more.
For 251 days, Saeed Abedini has languished inside one of the most brutal prisons in the world.
Why is he being held? Because he exercised his rights of religious freedom, expression, and peaceful assembly.
On Tuesday, his wife took her husband's case before the UN's Human Rights Council in Geneva.
I hope that my presence here today will put a face to those who suffer when a government does not uphold its obligation to protect these freedoms.
The 33-year-old Iranian-born U.S. citizen is sentenced to 8 years in prison for his Christian faith, and while in prison, has endured torture.
On at least 2 known occasions, Iran's officials have physically tortured my husband. These instances of tortures have caused my husband to have symptoms of internal bleeding.
The White House on Monday said it was deeply concerned about Pastor Abedini's plight and promised to press for his release until he was back home with his family. The U.S. State Department also chimed in.
We condemn Iran's continued violation of the universal right of freedom of religion and call on the Iranian authorities to respect Mr. Abedini's human rights and release him. We will continue to pursue this in every way that we possibly can, through every channel that we possibly can.
But Abedini is not alone. Last month, Iranian authorities shut down the largest Persian-language church and arrested its pastor. With less than 2 weeks to go before Iranians pick their next president, authorities are reportedly targeting individuals and groups deemed dangerous, including growing Christian churches. Just before ending her UN speech, Naghmeh said on Facebook that she wanted to use her appearance to plant the seeds of the gospel message before a global audience.
Iran has kept Saeed's imprisonment because Saeed believes in forgiveness of sin through Jesus Christ, and that whoever accepts this forgiveness of sin can be reconciled to the God of peace and love. This is the God of peace we're all searching for.
George Thomas, CBN News.
An Egyptian court has convicted 43 nonprofit workers of illegally using foreign funds to incite unrest. That includes at least 16 Americans. All but one of the Americans were sentenced in absentia. Egypt's Muslim Brotherhood government is criticized for restricting the work of independent NGO groups. The State Department called the court's decision incompatible with a democratic transition.
France and Britain have announced their tests confirmed the use of sarin nerve gas in Syria. And France says the Syrian regime is responsible for at least one such incident. Now, this comes as the United Nations report also states chemical weapons have been used in at least 4 attacks in Syria's civil war. The UN report says it still needs to test samples from victims and sites of suspected chemical attacks. But rebel and Syrian forces have long accused each other of using such weapons. The UN report does not determine what chemicals were used or which side used them.
Russian President Vladimir Putin says Russia has not sent sophisticated air defense missile systems to Syria yet. Syria's Bashar Assad had hinted last week that he had received the equipment. Meanwhile, Israelis are practicing defense drills in case Syria's civil war spills over. They're even preparing for attacks with weapons of mass destruction. Chris Mitchell has the story from Jerusalem.
Israelis headed for bomb shelters as part of a nationwide drill to practice what to do in case of war.
When it's a real time, then they know exactly what to do and they won't be frightened or terrified.
Dubbed Turning Point 7, the 3-day drill simulated rocket and missile attacks on Israeli cities. That includes chemical and other non-conventional strikes. The drill is annual, but the government held this one with tensions high on the Israeli-Syrian border. Israel is also concerned that Hezbollah or other jihadi terror groups could acquire Syrian chemical weapons.
This is one of the worst scenarios that Israel could think about.
More than 80,000 people have been killed so far in Syria's 2-year civil war. But Israeli intelligence expert Jacques Niria told CBN News that neither those loyal to Syrian President Bashar Assad nor those opposing him are winning.
So we have a stalemate on the ground. which means that this civil war could last for several years.
To complicate matters, Syrian opposition forces have been overrun by thousands of jihadis who want to re-establish the caliphate.
So they want an Islamic State 100%. The first thing they did in Homs, when they took one of the quarters of Homs, was to ask all the Christians who are living there just to leave town.
Neria says there are two possible outcomes. Assad survives and his allies Hezbollah and Iran are strengthened, or he falls and the jihadis take over.
One alternative is a nightmare. The second one is a worse nightmare.
The U.S. and Europe say they are now working to bolster the rebel forces, but some say that would be a mistake.
When you take a dictatorship out, you create a political vacuum. Who's using this political vacuum is the Muslim extremist. And that's the scenario that we saw happening in Egypt and Yemen and Tunis and so on and so forth. The same scenario will take place in Syria, and this will be a much bigger mistake.
Israeli officials say they'll stay out of the conflict unless they need to defend their citizens. And Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu warned that Israel will continue its efforts to stop Syria from transferring weapons to Hezbollah. Despite all the talk of war, many Israelis say they're not concerned.
Israel is a really strong country and we can beat everyone.
I'm afraid. I don't want to be the war.
I'm not afraid yet, but I'm not happy about it. Really not happy about it because we understand that it's very dangerous.
Still, while most Israelis are hoping for the calm to continue, they know they must prepare for war. Chris Mitchell, CBN News, Jerusalem.
And back here at home, betrayal, fear, and intimidation. Those are some of the words used to describe how conservative groups felt while applying for tax-exempt status with the IRS. Some of them, for the first time on Capitol Hill, testified about their experiences Tuesday. One group says it waited 3 years for the IRS to approve its tax-exempt status. Another is still waiting. But they also say they were targeted because of their conservative political views.
The Wetumpka Tea Party filled out a complete application. Our organization fell within the boundaries of receiving a 501c4 status. Yet, our application was singled out solely because we had Tea Party in our name.
Nearly 3 years in waiting for an answer is totally unacceptable. The IRS needs to be fully investigated and held accountable for its incompetence, harassment, and targeting of conservative groups.
Thank you, Ms. Garrison. The president of the Coalition for a Life of Iowa testified that the IRS asked about the content of their prayers, and the IRS demanded they promise not to demonstrate outside Planned Parenthood. Meanwhile, the National Organization for Marriage testified that someone from within the IRS leaked their confidential tax documents to a gay activist group.
The copy of our tax returns and our list of donors that was posted there was redacted. Our computer forensic people were able to unlayer the redactions from that PDF file and discovered that the original document that was posted there had originated from within the IRS. It had internal IRS.
The National Organization for Marriage says that means someone at the IRS committed a felony.
On the heels of that scandal, new details are coming out about IRS waste of taxpayer dollars. Senior IRS officials are enjoying luxury hotel rooms and free drinks at a $4 million training conference in Anaheim, California. That's according to a report by the Treasury Department Inspector General for Tax Administration. The 2010 meeting was one of many expensive gatherings that the agency held for employees over a 3-year period. One top official even stayed in a room that cost $3,500 a night. Another stayed 4 nights in a room that cost nearly $1,500 a night. The IRS also spent more than $500,000 to produce 3 videos shown at the conference.
An artist whose painting was removed from an Air Force dining hall says the Pentagon is censoring Christian art. Ron DeCiani's painting is called Blessed Are the Peacemakers and references the scripture Matthew 5:9. It was part of a collection to honor the heroes who responded to the 9/11 terrorist attacks. But it was removed from Idaho's Mountain Home Air Force Base less than an hour after the Military Religious Freedom Foundation complained. This is the same organization whose leader called for religious proselytizing a national security threat in a private meeting with Pentagon officials just last April. The artist's son told Fox News, on its face, this seems like nothing short of a clear anti-Christian agenda.
An historic hearing on Capitol Hill. It was the first time all the heads of the U.S. Armed Forces have appeared before the Senate Armed Services Committee. They were grilled about the growing problem of sexual assault in the military. Dale Hurd has more.
A recent Pentagon report found there were as many as 26,000 sexual assaults within the military last year, up from 19,000 the year before.
Nobody who volunteers to serve our country should be subjected to this kind of treatment by those with whom they serve.
Victims often hesitate to report the crimes because of a lack of trust in their commanding officers, claiming many are soft on enforcing accountability.
We are acting swiftly and deliberately to change a climate that has become a bit complacent.
Congress is now considering at least 7 bills that would overhaul the military justice system. One proposal, opposed by top brass, would take prosecution of sexual assaults out of the chain of command, preventing commanding officers from deciding which crimes should go to trial.
It will undermine the readiness of the force. It will inhibit our commanders' ability to shape the climate and discipline of our units.
But some victims of military sexual assault want changes.
The system is rigged against the victims.
A majority of the seats in the Senate Armed Services Committee are now held by women.
This isn't about sex. This is about assaultive domination and violence.
Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Supreme Court Justice Antonin Scalia warns the High Court's ruling on DNA case could lead to a police state. The court ruled police can take DNA samples without a warrant from suspects arrested for serious crimes. 5 of the justices said DNA testing was a legitimate procedure, just like fingerprinting. 28 states and the federal government now take DNA swabs after arrest. Privacy advocates argued that taking a suspect's DNA without a search warrant violates the Fourth Amendment. Scalia sided with the court's liberals in his dissent. He wrote, "Make no mistake about it, as an entirely predictable consequences of today's decision, your DNA can be taken and entered into a national DNA database if you are ever arrested, rightly or wrongly, and for whatever reason."
New information out on the deadly tornado that tore through Oklahoma Friday. Experts say the EF5 tornado was the widest ever recorded, coming in at 2.6 miles. And the Oklahoma Medical Examiner's Office says the death toll is now up to 19. Meanwhile, Operation Blessing is still on the ground in Moore, Oklahoma. Over the last 2 weeks, they've coordinated and sent out more than 2,500 volunteers.
What groups do we have that this is their first day coming to volunteer? Where are you guys from over here?
Mobile, Alabama.
Mobile, Alabama. Give it up for Mobile.
Teams support residents through hard work and prayer.
And still to come, they cannot go to the farm, so the farm is going to them. Meet the man who's bringing fresh food to the inner city.
Today we're on a field trip to discover what inflation is doing to our paper money. In this hand is a $20 bill, and in this hand is a $20 U.S. gold coin. They used to have the same buying power, but how much can they buy today? In this first basket is what my $20 bill buys: milk, bread, peanut butter, and jelly. And here's what one $20 gold coin will buy: 6 baskets full, worth nearly $2,000, almost 100 times more food, simply by owning gold dollars instead of paper dollars. History shows that the gold coins have been the best way to beat the rising cost of living. So class, the moral is that unless you want to live on peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in the future, you should turn some paper dollars into gold coins now. How and why is explained in a new book, The Great Debasement. Call the number below for a totally free copy. And that's the simple truth.
Help! If an emergency happened right now, you can have help at the push of a button with Medical Alert.
Remember when I took that fall, Mary?
Oh, yes, that was terrible.
Yes, it was.
Help!
And I thought, what if you hadn't been there? I ordered my Medical Alert the next day.
I can't describe how safe I feel now with my Medical Alert. You didn't know I was wearing it, did you?
Medical Alert is easy to install, waterproof, and covers you inside your home and out.
It helps me feel safe from fires, break-ins.
And of course, a medical alert. And if you don't have a home phone, don't worry. They have that covered.
There's always help at the push of a button. Don't wait till you need it.
Get Medical Alert for less than $1 a day. There are no long-term contracts. Order now and get your second button free. Call for your free brochure.
For your free medical alert system with second button free, call 800-575-8507.
Hello? Is this thing on? Hey, kids, do you love games? And do you love discovering things? Yeah! Well, do ya?
Then you're gonna love this. It's the new free Superbook Kids Bible app. You can play games, watch videos, find answers to your questions, and a whole lot more. The new Superbook Kids Bible app. Free downloads available on iTunes now.
Have you ever wondered where your food comes from and what's been done to it? Well, you might not want to know.
Indeed. That is why so many people have gone back to buying food the old-fashioned way from people locally that they can trust. Lori Johnson shows us the unique story of one man who's taking local food to the people who need it most.
Early in the morning, Mark Lilly drives his farmer's market on wheels from Richmond, Virginia to the countryside. He stops at a number of family farms to pick up the food he'll sell a little later when he returns to the city. And talk about fresh, these melons were on the vine at sunrise and will be on someone's dinner table at sunset.
Most times it's not sprayed with heavy chemicals, and it's very low intensive farming. It's not industrialized farming, and so there's not a whole lot of pesticides or herbicides. The soil, more than likely, these smaller farms are rotating their crops. The soil has more nutrients in it, and they're throwing organic matter back into the soil.
Local produce is also healthy because it's picked ripe when vitamins are at their peak. On the other hand, produce that's shipped long distances is picked early and often sprayed with chemical ripeners.
So they put all kinds of preservatives and additives on the food. I mean, I've even heard them like spray painting the food to give it color.
Mark also goes local for dairy, livestock, and poultry. This is also good for the environment because it takes less fuel to transport the food from farm to market. The farthest Mark travels is 150 miles to an Amish farmer in the Shenandoah Valley for pure maple syrup and organic whole grain bread. Then, after he collects the food from rural areas, he heads back to the city, the inner city. This roving farmers market makes its stops in so-called food deserts, urban areas where thousands of people without transportation live more than a mile from a grocery store. Here, folks have little choice but to buy whatever unhealthy processed food is available at a convenience store next to the cigarettes and lottery tickets.
Y'all need some fresh vegetables?
Yes.
Got a whole bus full of stuff right here.
I think it's a blessing for certain people, for basically everybody, because everybody don't have a ride to go out, and I think that since it's growing, it's more healthy.
Mark teaches his customers about what he sells and what he doesn't.
I've had a lot of people ask me for bananas and pineapples and oranges and all different types of stuff. It just doesn't even grow in Virginia, much less like in season, you know. So there's a whole education process that people have to adopt.
And he teaches them how to cook foods they don't normally put on their table.
You put it in the oven for about 45 minutes on about 350, 375.
He accepts food stamps and is so passionate about distributing healthy food, he sometimes just gives it away.
Y'all share that, right?
He's even gotten the attention of city leaders.
I think it's a marvelous idea. It really helps to educate the population, give them an opportunity to have access to really fresh fruits and vegetables that they might not normally be able to get to in some of the better end city markets.
Visiting retirement homes is also a priority because seniors especially need a healthy diet.
I think it's a beautiful thing because you got some people in here that are diabetics and so forth and so on, and they can come out and get fresh vegetables. And it's organic, which is fantastic.
It's hard for some of us to get to the stores. And if we do get to the store, we got to catch the bus, 2 buses, and we got to catch 2 buses back. So I think this is really wonderful.
Betty, yours is $3.
Mark's been doing this for 4 years. He got the idea many years ago, but needed the proper motivation to begin.
I was fortunate, I got fired from my job. That was the best thing that ever happened to me.
Mark had a big dream to take healthy food to people who don't normally get it, but he had a small budget. So he bought this old church bus for $3,600 off Craigslist and made these shelves with scrap wood. Within a month, he was on the road and has made enough money to support his family. He hopes more people will hop on the local food bandwagon because he says America's current food system is unsustainable.
Instead of waiting for something to completely fall apart and collapse, we can actually try to change it before that happens.
Mark says he's never worked this hard, but has never been happier knowing his customers don't have to worry about where their food comes from. Lori Johnson, CBN News, Richmond, Virginia.
Up next, a lost boy finds his home. He spent his youth fighting for South Sudan's independence. Now he's helping build new leaders for his country.
Attention sleep apnea patients. Are you tired of the expense and hassle of getting your CPAP and BiPAP supplies? Are you fed up with dealing with ill-fitting, leaking, or worn-out masks and straps? Are you worried about the effects that unsanitary tubes, cushions, and filters have on your health? If you said yes to any of these questions, Allied Medical Supply Network has the solution to your problems. You could qualify to have your supplies regularly delivered right to your door at little or no cost to you. That's right, no more inconvenience, no worn-out masks and straps, no more unsanitary equipment, just restful sleep. Call Allied Medical Supply Network today to determine if you may qualify to receive your fresh, brand-name supplies at little or no cost. Don't delay. Call us now to see if you are eligible to save money on regular delivery of your CPAP and BiPAP supplies. Call 1-800-815-9947. That's 1-800-815-9947. Or go to cpapsupplyhelpline.com.
Announcing an important breakthrough in healthcare that can benefit everyone. If you or anyone you love needs affordable health insurance, regardless of a pre-existing medical condition, call Quick Insurance 123 today and get the immediate relief you deserve. Quick Insurance 123 was created to provide affordable health insurance to all uninsured Americans, with or without pre-existing conditions. This is not a discount card. This is a real insurance program that lets you choose from many affordable health plans, with access to doctors, hospitals, emergency services, and more. So call the number on your screen now and get the health coverage you need just for calling. As a special bonus, we'll send you a free prescription savings card that could save you up to 85% on your prescriptions. That's right, you could save up to 85% on your prescriptions just for calling. Call Quick Insurance 123 to find out how you can get affordable health insurance and receive your free prescription savings card just for calling. Don't wait. Getting a free quote is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Call today.
Two years ago, South Sudan became a new nation, having won independence from Sudan.
And since then, many former revolutionary soldiers have immigrated to the United States. But CBN's contributing reporter Russ Jones brings us this story of one soldier who stayed to build a new nation.
That is the people who have the vision to deliver the people of South Sudan.
During a recent visit to his homeland, John Garang points out his uncle of the same name who led the revolution that led to South Sudan's independence.
So we put them there because they are heroes. They've given us freedom.
As one of the lost boys of Sudan, as they are often called, Garang was separated from his family as a young boy in the 1980s to fight for his nation's freedom from extremist Muslims. But 13 years into his military service under the command of his uncle, Garang heard the gospel message for the first time. Leaving the battlefield, this lost boy of Sudan enlisted in a new army, taking on a new fight. That decision led him to Kenya.
God is in this room. When I was here, I seen great vision, and I seen what God doing in this place.
It was in room number 4 of his dorm at the Bunguma Bible School. Garang absorbed all the Bible knowledge he could and received a calling to build leaders using biblical principles.
This place is powerful, my brother, and that is where I give my life.
It's in these hallways of higher education in Eldoret, Kenya, that Sudanese students have come from far, far away from home so they can learn new skills to go back home to South Sudan to build a bigger and stronger nation.
Students like John Ganai from Bor, South Sudan, are direct descendants of the vision God gave to John Garang in room number 4. Ganai is studying at Mount Kenya University in Eldoret to be a teacher.
As you know, my country is so burning, and we will use all the means to bring our country up. And if we can use all aspects of life, politically, economically, to develop our country, we shall be proud of it.
Soon after graduation, Garang and his new bride, Tabitha, a fellow student at the Bible school, would choose to begin a new work in Kenya. Donations from generous supporters in the U.S. allowed the Garangs to acquire land in Moistbridge, Kenya, where they opened Children or People Ministries, which is an orphanage, training facility, and church. But even with a strong faith, John Garang admits it's a daunting task as he carries the weight of a nation on his back.
I'm fighting a different battle, but the word of God says, my burden is easy.
In Moistbridge, Kenya, I'm Russ Jones.
When you're driving along and your cell phone rings, do your eyes instantly go off the road? Then you need to get a grip. Hi, David Jones here with the new GripGo, the most versatile hands-free mount that will instantly grip any phone for safe driving. Just attach the suction cup to your windshield or dash, and GripGo grabs your phone ultra fast. Then it peels right off. And don't worry, there's no sticky residue left behind. The 360-degree pivoting mount allows you to always get the perfect viewing angle. It's even strong enough to grab and hold this expensive smartphone out the window. Yet it comes right off with ease. That's the advantage of GripGo. You can get the amazing GripGo with dashboard mount for only $14.95. We'll send you a second kit free. Just pay separate processing and handling. Get 2 complete GripGo systems for just $14.95.
To order GripGo for $14.95 plus processing and handling, call 1-800-709-5259 or order online at getgripgo.com.
Jim is 38, mortgage, married, 3 great kids. He wants to protect his family with a $500,000 term life insurance policy. What do you think it'll cost him? $100 a month? 60? 40? Actually, none of the above. Jim can get a $500,000 policy from a highly rated insurer for under $19 a month. His secret? SelectQuote. SelectQuote is impartial. They'll comparison shop the pick of insurance companies like these to give you a choice of your best prices. SelectQuote has great savings on term life for women, too. Jim's wife, Deidre, can get a $500,000 policy for under $16 a month. SelectQuote has helped make term life insurance affordable for hundreds of thousands of people since 1985. How about you? Just call this number or go to SelectQuote.com. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Finally today, a mother in Scotland defied the odds.
Indeed, she's given birth to her 3rd set of twins. Doctors say the chances of doing that are 500,000 to 1. Karen Rogers gave birth to twin daughters last week after having 2 sets of twin boys, ages 12 and 14. Karen says her husband did not believe her when she broke the news of her 3rd pregnancy. The Rogers plan to get a bigger car and convert the loft of their home into bedrooms.
I have to admit, I have a cousin who had 2 sets of twins and a set of triplets.
Oh my Lord, God bless them.
God bless them all.
God bless them.
They're going to need it.
Indeed.
That's going to do it for the CBN News Channel. You can find more of our exclusive coverage of the issues you care most about at cbnnews.com.
Tell us what you think about the stories you've seen here today. You can do it on Facebook or at CBN News on Twitter. Have a wonderful Wednesday.
If you had a choice between going bald and a full head of hair, which would you choose? Advances in medical science have resulted in the world's first and only permanent solution to hair loss.
Yes!
You wash it, you cut it. It's your own real naturally growing hair. When it comes to hair restoration, no one in the world has more experience than Bosley. The results look completely natural and are affordable on nearly any budget. But the entire process can't be explained in 60 brief seconds. So to find out more about this clinically proven and permanent solution to hair loss, call now to receive your free no-obligation information kit. It'll answer all of your questions about hair loss and hair restoration. Plus, we'll also send you this $250 gift certificate just for calling. Every day you wait, you're losing more hair. So don't put it off any longer. You owe it to yourself to find out the facts. Choose hair. Choose Bosley.
Call 800-868-9957. That's 800-868-9957.
Introducing the CBN Bible from CBN.com. Now, an easier way to study the Bible and grow in your faith. Highlight your favorite verse. Read separate versions at a glance. Click and read a commentary. Or cross-reference your favorite verse using the Strong's Concordance. All the right tools to study the Bible, all in one place. The CBN Bible, available at cbn.com/Bible or the iTunes App Store.